Today's public service announcement brought to you by Bad COVID Policies. So, did you know that as of 2 weeks ago, the federal government has stopped funding the monoclonal antibody treatment for COVID positive patients? You probably didn't know because no one's talking about it, and that's what scares me the most. This is major news and no one's talking about it, and this is potentially dangerous. Let's dive into it. So for starters, there's two types of monoclonal antibody treatments. There's the ones for severely immunocompromised patients who are not vaccinated or cannot get the vaccine because of medical issues. And then there are the COVID positive patients who are high risk, whether they're vaccinated or not, and you give them this treatment in order to keep them out of the hospital, and it drastically reduces the chances of being severely injured, dying, going to the hospital. And let me tell you, they work quite well. For example, in our clinic alone, we have given prophylactically the Evusheld treatment to over 1,000 doses, and we've given 403 doses to COVID positive patients who are high risk. Let me tell you, 100% of those patients made a full recovery. And we know so because we call them every day until they're back on their feet. And the best part is that 401 out of 403 patients didn't even end up needing to go to the hospital. And those two patients that went to the hospital, they got checked, they were treated already, so they went home and they also made a full recovery. So this is a drug that works really, really well. Well, the way that it was funded is the government would purchase these drugs from the manufacturer, and then they would allocate it to the different states depending on population and need and risk factors. And then the states would allocate it to different clinics, different hospitals, again, depending on population, need, and it worked. It worked quite well, especially in Florida. They did a really good job with this treatment, and that's why our death rate ratio is relatively low for a state that has a very, very old population. So the new ruling now, as of 2 weeks ago, is that it's going to be privatized, meaning that the clinics, the doctor's office, the hospitals now have to purchase these drugs from the manufacturer directly out of their own pockets. Why is that bad? Because almost always the cost gets kicked down to the patient, but it's even more complicated than that. So with an overhead of $2,100 per dose, that is a major overhead that a lot of clinics, a lot of doctors' offices are not going to be able to afford it. So there goes your access to care. On top of that, even the clinics that can afford it, they have no assurance that it's going to be paid by the insurance, because a lot of insurances have yet to reimburse and have denied a lot of the claims even when it was mandatory for them to pay it. So even more clinics are not going to have it in operation. So now you're left with the really big hospitals and big institutions. But the whole point of this treatment is to keep people out of the hospital. It really defeats the purpose. Now, let's say that clinics do actually hold it and they take the chance with it. Well, what about cost? A lot of patients don't have insurance. So now they're going to have to pay $2,100 for the treatment, plus the cost of administration, the office visit, the monitoring. So you're looking at almost $3,000 for a treatment. And of course, a lot of patients are going to defer. A lot of patients are not going to get the treatment, which will get them in trouble. Then there are the actual insured patients. Well, a lot of Americans, majority of Americans, have a high deductible, and the average deductible in this country is $4,300 by latest reports. So that means that even if you have insurance, you're still going to pay the $3,000 out of your own pocket. And when you know this, a lot of patients are going to be inclined to say, forget it, I'll just wait to see how I feel tomorrow. And then you get sicker and sicker, and then eventually end up in the hospital, but you waited too long to be treated. And that always gets us in trouble with COVID. Waiting to see how you feel tomorrow gets us in trouble. That's the point of this treatment, is to give it while you're feeling well, to keep you like that. So when you privatize this treatment, you're going to make it more expensive, significantly by 500%, and you're going to decrease access to care because a lot of clinics are not going to hold it. It sounds like a bad policy. So why was this ruling, whose decision was it to say, yeah, we need to stop funding it? Look, I get the philosophy that we can't have big daddy government pay for everything for forever, right? But at a time when we're spending trillions of dollars in the name of COVID relief, What is more COVID relief than this treatment itself that works quite well for COVID? I don't get it. And I want to be wrong about this, so please let me know, what am I missing here? It sounds like a no-brainer to me. Look, the, we have vaccines, and that's fantastic. And the new vaccines are coming out, and that's great. And you should get the vaccine. But A, not everyone can get the vaccine. B, not everyone wants the vaccine. And C, we have seen study after study that the immunity wanes off after several months. So when you're at month 3, 4, 5, 6, and you need extra protection because you don't have another COVID vaccine coming up due, what are we going to do for those patients? So we're going to get in a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble. And winter is coming. I don't mean to sound like Jon Snow, but we've seen huge spikes in the winter and we're not prepared for this. So what are we going to do about it? Well, this is a little bit of a call to action video. So please call your local representatives, sign a petition. We have a petition on our website to raise awareness, and just send this video to 10 other people who you think that this might be affecting. It's going to make a difference. Please share this information, and more importantly, let me know, what am I missing here? Thank you for watching.